Around the lake, tents stood tall, and some of the younger members of the Gu clan were gathered idly, their eyes frequently glancing at the calm waters as they chatted. At the lake's edge, Gu Yin stared intently at the undisturbed surface, her delicate brows slightly furrowed. It had already been a month and a half since Lin Dong had entered the lake's depths, yet during this time, there had been no signs of any activity. Gu Yinjia, it's been a month and a half? Gu Ying, standing behind Gu Yin, frowned. The current situation was clearly unexpected. Under normal circumstances, they might have had enough time to wait for Lin Dong. However, with only half a month left until the martial gathering of the 5 families, time was running out. If they waited any longer, they might not make it in time. I'll go take a look, Gu Yin said after a moment of hesitation. She bit her lip, fully aware of their time constraints, but she was unwilling to give up on Lin Dong, such a rare potential ally. Upon hearing this, both Gu Ying and Gu Yin nodded in agreement. Swish! Gu Yin didn't hesitate any further. With a swift movement, she shot toward the center of the lake. But just as she was about to dive in, her eyes suddenly narrowed, and she quickly retreated. Boom! As soon as she pulled back, a massive pillar of water erupted from the previously calm lake, sending water cascading from the sky. Amidst the rain-like curtain of water, a figure dashed out, catching the eyes of the Gu clan disciples who watched in excitement. The figure landed smoothly at the lake's edge. Lin Dongji! Gu Yin exclaimed joyfully as she recognized the familiar figure, rushing forward to greet him. Gu Yin also landed, her gaze fixed on the figure that had burst from the water. Her face slightly changed, and she couldn't help but exclaim, You've broken through to the life mystique stage? A murmur spread among the surrounding Gu clan disciples. They were shocked, staring at Lin Dong in disbelief. Before entering the lake, he had only been at the peak of the 9th nirvana stage. Even with the vital, profound spirit fruit, it should have been impossible for him to break through to the life mystique stage so quickly. It was just luck, Lin Dong smiled at Gu Yin, offering no further explanation. Gu Yin took a long look at Lin Dong. She could vaguely guess that there must have been another opportunity in the lake that led to his sudden surge in power. It seemed they had all been too focused on the vital, profound spirit fruit, missing out on an even greater treasure within the lake's depths. Despite her mild regret, Gu Yin quickly let go of her thoughts, feeling a touch of joy. Lin Dong's advancement to the life mystique stage, even if not yet fully stabilized at the minor completion level, was a significant boost. He had already been able to contend with experts at that level while still at the 9th nirvana stage, and now that he had officially entered this realm, finding a match for him among his peers would be nearly impossible. If they could secure him as an ally for the Gu clan, it would greatly increase their chances of victory in the upcoming martial gathering. These past days, thank you all for your trouble, Lin Dong said with a smile. He could tell that Gu Yin had long finished her own training but had stayed behind to watch over him. Even though he had found a safer place deep within the lake to train, their thoughtfulness wasn't lost on him, and he felt the need to express his gratitude. Gu Yin shook her head. After a brief hesitation, she spoke directly, her gaze locking onto Lin Dong's. Lin Dong, I have a request. Oh. Lin Dong's eyes flickered with interest. Let's hear it. Seeing that Lin Dong hadn't immediately agreed, Gu Yin gave a bitter smile before explaining everything about the martial gathering of the 5 families and the serious injury her brother, Gu Yuntian, had suffered. You want me to act as your Gu clan's ally and help you win the martial gathering? Lin Dong frowned slightly after listening. Sorry, I've just arrived in the Chaos Demon Sea and don't want to get involved in the struggles between your great families, Lin Dong said after a moment of thought. The 5 great families of the Celestial Wind Sea region were all powerful, and if he helped the Gu clan win, it would inevitably cause displeasure among the others. It wasn't a conflict he wanted to get entangled in. Lin Dong's refusal caused a bit of awkwardness among the nearby Gu clan members, but there wasn't much they could do. They could only offer him wry smiles. Guya glanced at Lin Dong, but said nothing to persuade him. She knew that Lin Dong had already helped them enough along the way, and asking for more would be pushing their luck. Gu Yin let out a resigned sigh. She knew Lin Dong well enough to not be surprised by his refusal. Despite her cold beauty, which many men would go out of their way to please, Lin Dong had turned her down without hesitation. It wasn't that she wasn't attractive, but compared to someone like Ling Qingzhu, her allure simply wasn't on the same level. When it came to Lin Dong, her beauty alone was not enough to sway him. Lin Dong, have you heard of the Primordial Wilderness Tower? Gu Yin asked, not giving up just yet. She twirled a strand of hair between her fingers as she looked at him. The Primordial Wilderness Tower? Lin Dong was taken aback, shaking his head slightly. It's an ancient training ground, passed down from antiquity. It's said that within, one can encounter a special energy called Primordial Wilderness Qi. This energy has the miraculous ability to cleanse the body and strengthen it. Under its influence, one can undergo a complete transformation. Strengthen the body? Lin Dong raised an eyebrow slightly but remained uninterested. After all, his physique was already quite formidable. This is the Primordial Wilderness Pearl within the Primordial Wilderness Tower, containing some primordial qi. Gu Yin extended her delicate hand, revealing a deep yellow stone pearl. With a flick of her fingers, the pearl shot toward Lin Dong. Lin Dong grasped the stone pearl immediately. As he held it, he sensed a coolness with a hint of primal wilderness essence. With a mere thought, a slight power of devouring emanated from him. A hum resonated as the power of devouring was unleashed, and the pearl in Lin Dong's hand disintegrated into powder almost instantly. He then felt a surge of ancient, pure energy rush into his body. With the emergence of this energy, an azure glow erupted from within Lin Dong, accompanied by a faint dragon's roar. His expression changed slightly due to the Qing Tian energy rising inside him, activating his practiced, azure sky transforming dragon art, spontaneously. Clearly, the energy from the Primordial Wilderness Pearl was the cause. This primordial qi indeed seemed to wield a profound effect on strengthening the body. There's indeed something extraordinary here, Lin Dong mused to himself. But just as he voiced these thoughts, a powerful suction suddenly erupted from deep within him, aggressively pulling the primordial qi away. Roar! As the primordial qi was drawn away, the azure glow within Lin Dong exploded, attempting to reclaim it. However, at the last moment, Lin Dong hurriedly restrained it. What the hell? Lin Dong's expression turned peculiar as he discovered that the mysterious stone talisman inside him was seizing the primordial qi. The primordial qi was entirely absorbed into the stone talisman, which had been relatively inactive for years. To Lin Dong's surprise, it was now emitting a faint, conscious intent devoid of information, merely an insatiable craving. A craving for primordial qi. Does the stone talisman desire the primordial qi? Lin Dong muttered, his lips twitching slightly. It was the first time he felt the talisman make a request. Lin Dong was now quite aware of the mysterious stone talisman's origins. It was an artifact once possessed by the Ancestor Talisman, the pinnacle entity of ancient times. Lin Dong learned from the wild, desolate tablet that the stone talisman had been severely damaged, and waking it depended on his fortune. Could the primordial wilderness pearl be the key to awakening the stone talisman? Lin Dong's thoughts ran wild as he abruptly looked up at Gu Yin, grinning. Miss Gu Yin, how might one enter the primordial wilderness tower? A soft smile graced Gu Yin's face upon hearing Lin Dong's question. She knew Lin Dong well enough to understand that if the primordial wilderness tower hadn't enticed him, they might as well abandon any hope for external aid. Thankfully, his stubbornness hadn't reached an extreme level. The primordial wilderness tower is jointly guarded by the 5 major families and opens once a year. Only 3 individuals can enter, and these spots are awarded to the champion of the martial gathering, Gu Yin explained. 3 spots. Lin Dong frowned, not expecting such limited access, though it didn't surprise him that it was linked to the martial gathering. If you assist my Gu clan in winning the martial gathering, I will persuade my family to grant you one of the 3 slots, Gu Yin offered. Lin Dong contemplated, hesitating briefly. He had no desire to meddle with clan conflicts, but the sudden shift in his stone talisman forced a reconsideration. Despite seeing no extraordinary powers from it so far, he understood it could eventually be his greatest asset. Awakening the stone talisman required effort, something Lin Dong had pondered endlessly without success. The talisman was too enigmatic for him to repair. This was the first time Lin Dong sensed its need, stirring a rare excitement. Damn it! His eyes flickered before he made up his mind. The Chaos Demon Sea was teeming with powerhouses, far more chaotic than the Eastern Mystery region. Lin Dong intended to search for a second ancestral talisman there, anticipating fierce battles. Ancestral talismans could incite envy even among those at the death mystique stage. To secure the second ancestral talisman, he needed to bolster his abilities, and the enigmatic stone talisman seemed the mightiest among them. If one spot is mine, I can lend my aid, Lin Dong declared, smiling at Gu Yin. It's a deal, Gu Yin chuckled, nodding in agreement. Additionally, I'll need a complete map of the Chaos Demon Sea, Lin Dong requested, needing it to pinpoint the exact location of the second ancestral talisman. A complete map? Gu Yin was momentarily taken aback but nodded. Though rare, their Gu clan could procure one. I'm not sure why you need it, but know that the Chaos Demon Sea is far more vast than you'd imagine, with unexplored regions. What we call a complete map only covers what has been charted. There are still unexplored sea regions. Lin Dong's eyes narrowed slightly as he realized how troublesome this might be. He hadn't expected the Chaos Demon Sea to be this vast and terrifying. As for those unknown areas, I'm afraid only the Sea Demon Clan can explore them, Gu Yin remarked. Sea Demon Clan? Lin Dong was taken aback. Clearly, this was his first time hearing about such a race. In the Chaos Demon Sea, the most powerful force isn't some sect or clan, but the Sea Demon Clan. They live in the ocean and are the undisputed rulers of this region, Gu Yin explained, knowing Lin Dong was unfamiliar with these facts since he was new to the Chaos Demon Sea. The Chaos Demon Sea is a complicated place, full of tangled power struggles between humans, demonic beasts, and the sea demons. The competition is intense, making it far more dangerous than most other regions. Of course, while it's dangerous, this kind of training ground is beneficial for cultivation. To become a true powerhouse, this kind of harsh tempering is essential. Lin Dong nodded in agreement. He recognized that someone like Gu Yin, who would be considered a top talent among the younger generation in the Eastern Mystery region, could only be regarded as exceptional here. This wasn't because people like Yuan Tsang or Ling Qingzhu had less talent than Gu Yin, but rather because the environment of the Chaos Demon Sea offered far more resources and opportunities. That said, it didn't mean that the super sects of the Eastern Mystery region were weaker. Groups like the Yuan sect or Dao sect would still be formidable forces in the Chaos Demon Sea, much like the evil wind cave heaven. Despite the chaos of this sea, the deep-rooted foundations of those sects made them more stable in preserving their legacies. Since you've agreed, let's set off immediately. We've already been delayed here for over a month, and now there's only half a month left until the martial gathering. I'll brief you on the details of the event and the other 4 major clans along the way, Gu Yin said. The nearby members of the Gu clan were visibly excited, nodding eagerly. They had witnessed Lin Dong's strength and were thrilled to have such a powerful ally. It seemed their Gu clan might finally stand out at this martial gathering. Lin Dong had no objections and nodded in response. Seeing this, the Gu clan members quickly dispersed to pack up the camp and prepare to leave Xinling Island. As Lin Dong stood there watching the others busily moving about, he exhaled softly. Agreeing to participate in this so-called martial gathering, he had his own reasons. When he and his brothers had attempted spatial teleportation, they were disrupted by Tian Yuanzi's final attack, throwing the formation into chaos. As a result, Lin Dong had no idea where Little Mink and Little Yin were or whether they were safe. While searching for the second ancestral talisman, Lin Dong also needed to find Little Mink and Little Yin. However, in the vastness of the Chaos Demon Sea, finding 2 people was like searching for a needle in a haystack. Still, the martial gathering seemed like a grand event. If he participated, news of him might spread, and if Little Mink and Little Yin heard about it, they could come find him. I hope they're safe, Lin Dong murmured, his gaze distant as he looked toward the eastern horizon. His hands slowly clenched inside his sleeves. Yuan sect scum, I said it before. When I, Lin Dong, return to the Eastern Mystery region, it will be the day your Yuan sect is wiped out. So, just wait for it. Prepare yourselves. Lin Dong's lips pressed into a thin line as a crimson gleam flashed in his eyes, the chilling intent to kill seeping out from within him. At the edge of Xinling Island, a massive crimson ship, nearly 100 meters long, stood tall. Its hull was wrapped in red iron plating, giving it a particularly sturdy appearance. The ship's sails bore the large insignia of the Gu clan, fluttering in the wind. It was clearly the vessel Gu Yin and her group had been using for their voyage. The Chaos Demon Sea was vast and unpredictable, with dangers lurking at any moment. Apart from the strongest cultivators, most people relied on these specially designed ships to sail safely across the treacherous waters. On board the Gu clan ship, several clan members were stationed as guards. When Lindong and Gu Yin boarded with their group, they drew some curious looks from those already present. Miss Gu Yin, an old man in gray robes, quickly approached once Gu Yin was on the ship, bowing respectfully. Uncle Qin, let's set sail for Martial Gathering Island, Gu Yin instructed with a nod. Yes, the gray-robed elder replied. His sharp gaze briefly flickered toward Lindong, standing behind Gu Yin. He is Lindong, our external aid for the Martial Gathering, Gu Yin said with a smile. Oh. The elder was momentarily surprised, his gaze sweeping over Lindong with a curious expression. He opened his mouth as if to speak, but then said nothing, his face showing a hint of awkwardness. Lindong noticed the elder's reaction but simply smiled and stepped to the side of the ship, gazing out over the vast ocean. The endless sea stirred something inside him. Miss, did you invite this young man as an external aid because young Master Gu Yuntian was gravely injured? The gray-robed elder asked in a low voice after Lindong walked away. Gu Yin nodded slightly before frowning. Why? I received news 2 days ago that our Gu clan also invited another external aid. You know him, the one who once tried to propose to you. The Haiyun sect's young master, Imo Tao. Gu Yan's expression immediately darkened, and she snapped, Why did they ask for that guy? He may be annoying, but he's still at the peak of minor completion of the life mystique stage. Among the younger generation in the Celestial Windsea region, he has quite a reputation. The clan likely had no choice due to the time constraints, the elder said with a bitter smile before glancing at Lindong's back. Gu Yan's anger seemed to dissipate upon hearing those words, and a rare hint of mischief flashed in her usually cold eyes. She muttered softly, Just ignore him. As for who will be embarrassed, we'll see soon enough. Hopefully, that guy knows how to behave, or else, if he ends up humiliating himself, no one else will be to blame. The gray-robed elder was momentarily taken aback by Gu Yan's confidence in Lindong, but said nothing further. He merely nodded and stepped away, beginning to shout orders. Under his commands, the massive crimson ship hoisted its sails and swiftly set off toward the depths of the ocean, heading into the crimson glow of the setting sun. The vast and endless sea surged with waves, and one by one, enormous swells crashed against the ship's hull, creating deafening booms. Standing at the bow, Lindong gazed out toward the endless horizon. The salty sea breeze hit his face, and the sheer expanse filled him with a sense of exhilaration. They had left Xinling Island several days ago, spending the time in continuous travel. Along the way, they encountered strange and fearsome weather, the kind of natural force that gave Lindong a taste of the dangers that lurked within the Chaos Demon Sea. Fortunately, the Gu clan members were experienced, and these challenges had posed no real obstacles for them. The place we're heading to this time is called Martial Gathering Island, which is also where the Primordial Wilderness Tower is located, Gu Yin explained as she stood beside Lindong. It's heavily guarded by experts from the 5 great clans, and it only opens once a year when the Martial Gathering begins. At that time, countless powerful figures converge there, as the Martial Gathering is considered a significant event. Generally speaking, the Martial Gathering is a competition among the younger generation. Even if external aid is called in, it must be someone within that age group. So, most of the reinforcements the clans bring in are well-known young experts from the Celestial Windsea region. I suppose I'll be the exception, Lindong chuckled. He had no reputation in the Celestial Windsea region, being a complete unknown. You might have one after the Martial Gathering, Gu Yin smiled. She knew Lindong's strength well. Back when he was at the 9th Nirvana stage, he had defeated both a minor completion Immortal Talisman Master and a minor completion life mystique stage demonic beast. Now, his strength had increased even further, having stepped into the minor completion of the life mystique stage, though he had yet to fully stabilize his power. But who could deny his combat abilities? Based on her estimation, if Lin Dong fought at full strength, there would likely be few who could match him within the minor completion of the life mystique stage. Lin Dong neither confirmed nor denied this and asked, "Are there any troublesome people among the other 4 clans?" The other 4 clans are not weak. Their younger generation is filled with talented individuals. Take the Wei clan, for example. Their most famous member is Wei Zhan, who reached the peak of the minor completion life mystique stage a while ago, and is rumored to be on the verge of breaking through to the great completion of the life mystique stage within 2 years, Gu Yan said, her expression turning slightly serious. "Oh." A flicker of surprise crossed Lin Dong's eyes, and he nodded to himself. No wonder the Chaos Demon Sea was so notorious. Young talents capable of reaching the peak of the minor completion life mystique stage were already considered true experts in the Eastern Mystery region. The other 2 clans, the Su clan and the Song clan, have figures like Su Yin and Song Chun, whose strengths are at a similar level. They're both quite formidable. What about the Shuntu clan? Lin Dong inquired about the final great clan that Gu Yan hadn't yet mentioned. The Shuntu clan, Gu Yan's expression, became slightly unnatural at the mention of this name. She smiled wryly before continuing, "The Shuntu clan is actually the strongest among the 5. Last year's martial gathering champion came from their clan. The most powerful member of the younger generation in the Shuntu clan is Shintu Ju, known as the Iron Azura. His name is known throughout the entire Celestial Windsea region." Iron Azura, Shintu Ju, Lin Dong's eyes narrowed. A reputation like that didn't come without merit. For someone to have gained such renown in the Celestial Windsea region, he must indeed be a formidable opponent. It's said that Shintu Ju has already reached the great completion of the life mystique stage, and he has also refined his physical body. The Shintu clan's Azura body technique has been honed to perfection by him. Recently, there have been reports that Shintu Ju fought a great completion life mystique stage expert and won. Gu Yan shook her head with a bitter smile, her tone full of helplessness. "Impressive," Lin Dong nodded. It seemed Shintu Ju was indeed a fearsome adversary. In fact, someone in the Celestial Windsea region compiled a ranking of the younger generation, and Shintu Ju holds the 3rd spot, Gu Yan added. "Shintu Ju is only 3rd? Lin Dong was slightly startled, his expression showing a hint of surprise. He had assumed Shintu Ju would be the strongest of the younger generation in the Celestial Windsea region. "Indeed," Gu Yan nodded. "Ranked 1st is Zhou Qian, known as the Hand of Heaven and Earth from the Qingkuan Cave Heaven. 2nd is Xie Yin, the Little King of the Underworld from the Evil Wind Cave Heaven. These 2 are considered the absolute pinnacle among the younger generation in the Celestial Windsea region." Lin Dong silently repeated the names to himself, and then sighed with a touch of admiration. The quality of the younger generation in the Chaos Demon Sea truly surpassed that of the Eastern Mystery region. Of course, Shintu Ju isn't much weaker than those 2. They've never fought, so it's hard to say for sure, Gu Yan added. As for this year's martial gathering, since the Shintu clan won the championship last year, they won't need to compete. They'll simply defend the tower. Defend the tower? Yes. The contestants from the other 4 clans will battle it out, and only one clan will make it to the end. That clan will then challenge the Shintu clan. If they win, they'll earn the 3 spots to enter the Primordial Wilderness Tower. It's like defending the ring. The champion really has an advantage, Lin Dong remarked with a sigh. The Shintu clan didn't need to go through the earlier fierce competition and could conserve their energy, clearly gaining a significant edge. The champion's privilege, that's the rule, Gu Yan responded with a touch of helplessness. She sighed lightly and added, "In this tower defense, Shintu Ju will definitely be present. He's a real obstacle. I doubt any of the 4 great clans can guarantee breaking through." Her words weren't meant to belittle herself. Although she knew Lin Dong's strength wasn't weak, Shintu Ju's reputation was overwhelming. His many victories had left others in his generation feeling ashamed in comparison. Thus, Gu Yan had little confidence in claiming the championship. Lin Dong simply smiled and said nothing more. He had no interest in needless competition or aggression. If it weren't for the mysterious stone talisman in his body, he wouldn't have involved himself in the martial gathering of the 5 great clans. But circumstances had changed. Now that he had a chance to repair the stone talisman, he wouldn't let the opportunity slip away. So, the spot to enter the primordial wilderness tower was his for the taking. And if someone stood in his way, then he'd just have to defeat them. Lin Dong's hands hung loosely at his sides as he gazed at the distant sea. In the far horizon, dark clouds were once again gathering, slowly forming into a looming thunderstorm. After about 10 days of sailing, Lin Dong could feel the sea around him growing lively. Massive ships from all directions came roaring in, converging towards a single point. The sight of thousands of ships assembling was awe-inspiring. "We've arrived at Martial Gathering Island," Gu Yin, standing at the bow of the ship, said with a hint of joy in her eyes as she gazed at the vast landmass now visible on the horizon. Lin Dong looked up and saw an expansive stretch of land. This so-called island was enormous. Even with the countless ships surrounding it, the area didn't feel crowded in the slightest. "That's a ship from the Gu clan. Isn't that Gu Yin at the bow? Haha, she really is a cold beauty. I heard that Gu Yuntian from the Gu clan was severely injured recently. Looks like he won't be participating in this martial gathering." "Gu Yuntian won't participate? Then the Gu clan is in big trouble this time?" "Indeed." As Gu Yan's ship approached Martial Gathering Island, many gazes turned in their direction. When they noticed the GU character on the sails, whispers spread among the crowd. Hearing these murmurs, Gu Yan's brows knitted slightly, but she waved her hand, and their ship quickly headed toward the Gu clan's private dock. A group of Gu clan guards was already waiting there. "Lin Dong, let's go." As the ship approached the dock, Gu Yin turned to Lin Dong and spoke softly. With a graceful motion, she leaped towards the distant dock. Lin Dong, along with Gu Ying, Gu Ya, and other Gu clan members, swiftly followed her. "Gu Yin, you've finally arrived." No sooner had Gu Yin landed than a group of young Gu clan members gathered around her. It was clear that she held a high position among the younger generation of the Gu clan. Gu Yin nodded towards them, then turned her gaze to a middle-aged man approaching from a distance. She greeted him softly, "Uncle Gu Ling." Behind this middle-aged man stood a strikingly handsome young man who was intently staring at Gu Yin. However, she seemed to completely ignore his gaze. "Hee, it's good that you made it." The middle-aged man, whom Gu Yin called Uncle Gu Ling, chuckled and nodded. His eyes swept over Gu Yin before his expression brightened with surprise. "You've broken through?" "Yes, I obtained a vital profound spirit fruit on Shilling Island and used it to break through to the life mystique stage," Gu Yin replied with a nod. "Just in time." Gu Ling's face filled with joy as he stepped aside and gestured to the handsome young man behind him with a smile. "Little Yin, this is Imo Tao. I'm sure you're familiar with him. He's the external help we've brought in this time." "Gu Yin, it's a pleasure to see you again." Imo Tao greeted her with a gentlemanly smile. Gu Yin glanced at Imo Tao indifferently before stepping aside and pointing to Lin Dong behind her. "Uncle Gu Ling, this is the external help I've brought, Lin Dong." As soon as Gu Yin finished speaking, Gu Ling and the surrounding Gu clan members were momentarily stunned. They glanced at Imo Tao, whose smile had begun to fade. Lin Dong could sense the awkward tension in the air and felt a bit of a headache coming on. Before he could speak, Imo Tao's gaze turned to him. A playful smirk appeared on Imo Tao's handsome face as he remarked, "Someone who's just entered the life mystique stage, and whose aura is still unstable, has been invited as external help? Gu Yin, aren't you being a bit too reckless?" Imo Tao's voice was calm, but his words made the atmosphere slightly tense. The surrounding Gu clan members could only watch helplessly. It seemed they were used to Imo Tao's open disdain. As Imo Tao's voice faded, their gazes shifted towards Lin Dong. While Lin Dong's aura wasn't weak, it clearly couldn't compare to Imo Tao, who had already reached the peak of minor completion at the life mystique stage. Moreover, Imo Tao was well known among the younger generation in the Celestial Windsea region. Lin Dong, on the other hand, was a complete unknown. No one knew where Gu Yin had found this external help, and many doubted whether he could truly replace Gu Yuntian. Ahem. Gu Ling cleared his throat, glancing at Lin Dong before smiling at Gu Yin. Little Yin, you know the situation with Yin Tian. Our Gu clan's position is precarious now. Although you've made a breakthrough, it won't change much. Gu Ling knew that Gu Yin didn't like Mo Tao, so he assumed she was intentionally looking for someone to replace Mo Tao as an external support. However, the current matter concerned the Gu clan's performance in the martial gathering, so there was no room for Gu Yan's whims. As for Lin Dong's strength, Gu Ling could see at a glance that he had only just entered the life mystique stage, and his aura was still somewhat unstable. It seemed he had recently broken through using some heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Compared to Mo Tao, Lin Dong was indeed far inferior. Uncle Gu Ling, I'm not joking. I invited Lin Dong to be an external support for the Gu clan. His strength is sufficient for the task. Gu Yin shook her head seriously in response to Gu Ling's words. Oh. Mo Tao responded with a slight smile, casting a glance at Lin Dong with evident disdain in his eyes. Miss Gu Yin, whether he is qualified or not is not for you alone to decide. Moreover, I had little interest in this martial gathering of your 5 clans. If not for the Gu clan's sincere invitation, I wouldn't have intervened. If Miss Gu Yin truly doesn't want my help, I can willingly give up my position to him. Mo Tao's words, seemingly retreating to advance, did not provoke further argument with Gu Yin. As his voice fell, the surrounding Gu clan disciples' expressions changed, and Gu Ling's brows furrowed tightly. He looked at Gu Yin with a stern face. Little Yin, stop messing around. What's going on? This being the Gu clan's dock, some elders were nearby overseeing its operation. Noticing the large gathering, 2 stern-looking middle-aged men with strong auras approached and asked in a deep voice. These 2 were evidently elders of high standing in the Gu clan. Upon seeing them, the surrounding disciples hurriedly saluted, and Gu Ling explained the situation in detail. After hearing Gu Ling's explanation, the 2 men's faces darkened. Mo Tao, observing this, smiled faintly, crossed his arms, and glanced smugly at the silent Lin Dong. Little Yin, stop causing trouble. The invitation to Mo Tao as our external support was personally decided by the elders. It cannot be changed based on your words, one of the thick-browed middle-aged men said sternly. Then, he looked at Lin Dong. Since this friend is here, he is a guest of our Gu clan. He can observe the battle, but the matter of external support is settled. Lin Dong remained silent throughout, merely observing coldly. His silence only led others to disregard him further. Uncle Gu Hua, since Little Yin invited someone, she must have her reasons. Given her personality, it wouldn't be out of spite. Why not listen to her reasons before deciding? A gentle female voice came from outside the crowd, and the people parted to reveal a graceful woman in plain clothes stepping forward. The woman, dressed plainly, had a slender yet curvaceous figure, her features clear and beautiful, her eyes like peach blossoms, and an elegant temperament. Her soft voice was slightly intoxicating. Sister Mengqi. The young disciples of the Gu clan clearly held this woman in high regard. Even Gu Yin spoke with some joy. Lin Dong glanced at the graceful woman, his eyes narrowing slightly. Her aura was stronger than Gu Yan's, and even faintly surpassed Mo Tao's. The Gu clan truly lived up to being one of the 5 great clans. Mengqi. Gu Ling and the other 2 nodded slightly upon seeing her, then looked to Gu Yin, waiting for her to provide a reasonable explanation. Lin Dong did indeed reach the life mystique stage within this past month, Gu Yin said, her voice causing a smirk to form on Mo Tao's lips. However, it froze with her next words. However, before his breakthrough, he had already defeated an immortal talisman master at the minor completion stage and a demonic beast expert at the minor completion of the life mystique stage. Whoa! Her words caused an uproar among the surrounding Gu clan disciples. Many of them stared in surprise at the silent Lin Dong, realizing this seemingly submissive young man was actually a hidden powerhouse. Oh! Gu Ling, the other 2 men, and the woman named Gu Mengqi all showed surprise on their faces, looking at Lin Dong in astonishment, not expecting such achievements from him. That's quite an impressive record, Mo Tao said, his smirk fading slightly. His gaze darkened as he looked at Lin Dong, smiling coldly. But such a record alone doesn't qualify him to take my place. Defeating an immortal Talisman master at the minor completion stage and a demonic beast at the minor completion of the life mystique stage was something Imhotep could also achieve, though with some difficulty. Thus, he was surprised but not willing to concede his position. Gu Ling and the others nodded slightly. Even if Gu Yan's words were true, it only meant Lin Dong had comparable strength to Imhotep, but not enough to force him to give up his spot. So what would qualify him? A smile finally appeared on Lin Dong's face as he looked at Imhotep and asked. Imhotep looked at Lin Dong, his smile somewhat cold. He rubbed his wrist and said indifferently, "Simple. Here, strength rules. If you can defeat me, you can have the position. If not..." It was clear that Imhotep harbored quite a bit of disdain for Lin Dong. His feelings toward Gu Yin were twisted with a sense of abnormal affection, and seeing her defend Lin Dong only made his resentment grow. "If you're really capable, challenge me. There are only two outcomes. Either you leave, or I leave." Hearing Imhotep's cold words, the surrounding members of the Gu clan couldn't help but wince slightly. It seemed he was truly angered this time. Gu Ling and the other two, along with Gu Mengqi, exchanged glances but chose to remain silent. For them, who became the external ally wasn't particularly important, as long as that person had real strength. Their identity was irrelevant. All eyes soon turned to Lin Dong. Imhotep had already issued his final challenge. If Lin Dong didn't respond, it seemed he would have no choice but to leave. Under the gaze of the crowd, Lin Dong smiled faintly and stepped forward, his gaze locking onto Imhotep's. Then, with a calm voice, he spoke. "If that's how it has to be, then you should be the one to leave." As his final word fell, the smile on Lin Dong's face vanished instantly, replaced by a chilling and violent aura that caused Gu Ling and the others